Okay, so now that we've discussed the reason and proper way for signaling, let's talk about passing. Now, there are different types of drivers on the road. Some drivers go fast and some drivers go slow. Some drivers will move over and they'll let you pass, and some won't. There are all types of passing situations, and it's good that you know what the proper techniques and rules there are to passing so you don't get stuck behind that tractor that just won't get out of the way and you don't ruin your day trying to get around them. Now, it's not always safe to pass. Passing requires patience and waiting until the time is right. Crashes that are caused by improper passing often result in head-on collisions, which are most of the time fatal. So keep these tips in mind anytime you're passing another vehicle. Now, of course, the best practice and piece of advice that we can give you doing anything driving is to be patient and wait until the time is right to make the pass. Now, make sure that the way is clear and that there are no approaching cars coming from the other way. Give the proper signaling before changing lanes. This can let the driver that you're passing know your plans to pass them. Tap your horn if necessary to avoid surprising the driver ahead of you. And finally, avoid cutting back in too quickly, and if you must, return to your original place in the lane. Now, generally speaking, you're going to pass on the left side of the car that you're passing, but you're going to want to make sure that you never drive on the left side of the road in the following conditions. Now, anytime pavement markings or signs prohibit driving on the left, aka your no passing zones or the solid lines, anytime there are 2 or more traffic lanes in each direction, when you are within 100 feet of or crossing an intersection or railroad crossing, when you're on a hill, curb, or any other place that limits your visibility of the traffic ahead, and when you are within 100 feet of a bridge, viaduct, or tunnel. Now, you're always going to want to keep to the right-hand side of the road except for in these conditions. Anytime you are passing another vehicle on a 2 or 3 lane street, when you're driving on a one-way street, and when the right side of the road is blocked. So continuing on about passing, we need to cover what you should do if you're being passed. Now, if you are being passed, you're going to want to make sure that you do the following. Do not increase your speed and maintain the same speed, and even slow down a little if you need to, in order to let that other driver who's passing you get back over into the lane safely. Also, stay in your lane, and if you can, safely move as far to the right as you can when you're being passed on your left and there are no marked lanes. And lastly, you want to make sure that you make it as safe and easy as possible for the other driver to pass you. Like it or not, if you make it harder for that driver to pass you, you're only increasing your chances of being in a collision along with that other driver and any other car that's coming from the opposite direction. So always keep safety on your mind and make it as easy as possible for other drivers to pass. Now, Texas, just as with many other states, allows drivers to pass on the right side of the road, even if it's the shoulder of the road. But you can only do so when conditions permit you to do it safely. Now, you may pass on the right if the road is clear of parked cars or other lane obstructions and is wide enough for 2 or more lanes in each direction, when you are on a one-way road, and finally, you may pass on a paved shoulder when the vehicle that you are passing is slowing or stopped on the main traveled portion of the highway because they're either disabled or they're preparing to make a left turn. Okay, so our final tip when it comes to passing has to deal with the blind spot. Now, this is an area around the car where a driver cannot see unless you turn your head around to check it. Now, this, of course, is not always advisable to do since it takes your eyes off the road ahead. Now, during highway driving, the blind zone can change rapidly. You may look at your blind spot 1 second and see nothing there, and then a few seconds later check again, and now there's a car there. And it's important to know that the parameters of your blind zone can change depending on your speed and the speed of other drivers on the road. So it's a good idea that when you're passing another vehicle, try not to linger in that driver's blind spot. Either pass the other driver or slow down so that you're not sitting there, because it's likely that other driver can't see you when you're lingering in their blind spot, and that leaves you open to getting hit if the driver decides to change lanes or they themselves begin passing another car. All right, that covers all we wanted to talk about when it comes to passing. I'm going to see you over the next topic where we're going to talk about turning.